Brunei is a land of contrast. How can this tiny nation's extravagant royalty coexist with strict sharia law? And how does Brunei's extravagant facade conceal its controversial reality? It's truly mind-boggling how they seamlessly navigate the fine line between religious devotion and blatant hypocrisy. But with all of the luxuries of Western capitalism that the Bruneian royals seem to enjoy, you'd expect them to have a pretty liberal outlook on life, right? Well, that's not exactly the case when it comes to this tiny kingdom. Brunei is one of the most religiously conservative nations on the planet. Religion, the driving force behind many nations' moral compass. But in Brunei, it takes on a whole new level of significance. You see, Brunei proudly proclaims itself an Islamic state.
Bahawa negara Brunei Darussalam adalah sebuah negara yang molek, yang sentiasa mementingkan ibadat kepada Allah.
Where the tenets of Islam shape the country's laws and social fabric. But how does religion really play out in this paradoxical land? Brunei's legal system is heavily influenced by Sharia law, a strict interpretation of Islamic principles. Adultery, theft, and homosexuality are just a few examples of acts deemed punishable by law. And when I say punishable, I mean punishments that range from floggings, amputations, and even death by stoning. You heard that right, stoning to death. Now, you might be thinking, wait a minute, isn't Brunei also known for its luxurious lifestyle? The irony. While the royal family lives it up with their fleet of luxury cars, extravagant palaces, and opulent parties, the strict religious code applies more to the common folk. Freedom of expression? Well, it's not exactly their strongest suit. Criticize the royal family or the government, and you might find yourself behind bars faster than you can say freedom. Brunei's emphasis on maintaining a pious image often comes at the expense of basic democratic values. But let's not forget the gender disparities. Women in Brunei face numerous challenges under the guise of religious conservatism. Sharia law dictates that a woman's testimony is worth only half that of a man's. Talk about inequality, right? And we can't ignore the elephant in the room, the treatment of the LGBTQ+ community.
Brunei is enacting strict new Islamic laws that say gay sex and adultery is punishable by stoning to death.
It's loud and clear. We stand with the people of Brunei.
Homosexuality is considered a crime, and the punishment, you guessed it, death by stoning. It's a harsh reality that clashes with the global push for inclusivity and acceptance. So here, we have a country where religion plays a significant role in shaping its legal system and societal norms. But while the religious rhetoric is strong, the contradictions are hard to ignore. It's a delicate balance between adhering to conservative values and grappling with the realities of a changing world. You see, the royal family of Brunei often present themselves as devout followers of Islam, upholding its principles and guiding the nation accordingly. But behind closed doors, the story takes a different turn. It's like a real-life game of do as I say, not as I do. While preaching religious piety, the royal family indulges in a lifestyle that raises eyebrows among the more conservative members of society. Lavish parties, extravagant spending, and ostentatious displays of wealth seem to contradict the very values they claim to uphold. It's like they've got a get out of religious obligations card hidden up their sleeves. But it doesn't end there. Remember the strict Sharia law we mentioned earlier? Well, it seems that even the royal family gets a free pass. Reports have surfaced on them conveniently avoiding the punishments prescribed by the law. It's as if there's a secret escape hatch, exclusively reserved for the privileged few. This hypocrisy extends to matters of gender equality as well. While women in Brunei face restrictions and unequal treatment under the guise of religious conservatism, the female members of the royal family often enjoy privileges and opportunities that the average woman can only dream of. It's like a double standard on steroids. And let's not forget the royal family's control over the media and freedom of expression. Criticizing the royal family or questioning their actions can land you in hot water, while they bask in the protection of their own power and influence. It's a classic case of we make the rules, but they don't apply to us. So here we have a situation where religion is selectively used as a tool by the royal family. They wield it to reinforce their authority, silence dissent, and conveniently exempt themselves from the very principles they claim to champion. It's a masterclass in hypocrisy that leaves many scratching their heads and questioning the sincerity of their religious devotion. Now, Brunei has been called out for its strict laws by a wide variety of different international groups, NGOs, and public figures. But it still remains a very powerful nation because of its natural resources. Turning our attention to global links, Brunei is a member of many international organizations and has strong economic ties with countries such as China and the United States. However, the country's reputation has taken a hit in recent years due to its controversial laws and the royal family's extravagant spending. This has led to calls for boycotts of businesses owned by the royal family and increased scrutiny of the country's policies. Speaking of the royal family, there are some members who have made headlines for all the wrong reasons. One such figure is Prince Jeffrey, the younger brother of the Sultan, who has been accused of embezzling over $14 billion from the state and leading an extravagant lifestyle that includes owning a private zoo and a collection of luxury cars. His actions have led to a rift within the royal family and raised questions about accountability and transparency. Looking ahead, what does the future hold for Brunei? As the world progresses towards greater acceptance, inclusivity, and human rights, Brunei finds itself at a crossroads. Will the nation cling to its traditional values and religious conservatism, or will it recognize the need to adapt and evolve? The path forward is uncertain, but the pressure for change continues to mount both domestically and internationally. One potential factor influencing Brunei's future is the evolving attitudes of its younger generation. With increased access to global information and ideas, the youth of Brunei are exposed to alternative perspectives and progressive ideas. As they come of age, they may challenge the status quo, pushing for reforms and a more inclusive society. Additionally, the global community's engagement with Brunei plays a crucial role. Pressure from international organizations, governments, and advocacy groups can exert influence and encourage Brunei to reevaluate its policies. Engaging in constructive dialogue and supporting local activists fighting for change within the country can contribute to shaping a more progressive and balanced future. Isn't Brunei just a hot mess of contradictions and controversies? On the one hand, you've got the Sultan and his family living it up like royalty. Because, well, they are royalty, flaunting their wealth like it's going out of style. But on the other hand, they're all about conservative values and archaic legal systems. Because nothing says progress like a good old-fashioned stoning, right? And let's not forget the whole religion thing. It's like Brunei is playing a game of religious bingo, trying to cover all the squares with their mix of Islamic law and excessive greed. As for the future of this insanely wealthy country, who knows? Maybe they'll finally realize that their policies are a bit of a mess and start making some changes. Or maybe they'll just keep on doing what they're doing and hope nobody notices. It's anyone's guess, really.